All right, your next lab for this unit is going to be to determine if an unknown element is a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid. Now, on the periodic table of elements, there's the red staircase that cuts the periodic table in essence, half. And elements to the left of the staircase are called metals, elements to the right of the staircase are called nonmetals, and elements that fall along that dividing line are called metalloids, and they have properties of each. In this laboratory, you're going to need to fill out this table with the different reactions that I'm going to tape myself with, and you're going to fill it out. And then on the bottom, you'll answer the questions, and then the big key is to identify if that element fits the criteria of a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid. And I've given you some criteria right here that you can look through to determine what that may be. So the 7 substances are labeled with letters. So element A is an unknown element, B, C, D, E, F, N, and G. Now, substance A, just for you to get a close look at it, you can then fill in the what its appearance looks like. Key things with metals or nonmetals, metals tend to reflect light and are shiny, and nonmetals tend to be more dull. So that's substance A. Substance B, here in the middle. Substance C, looking at different angles. Substance D. Substance E. Again, these are all elements. Substance F, I have 2 different states. I have one that's more of a small particulate, and then a larger scale object that's much easier to see. When we do the reactivities of these, we're going to use the smaller particulates because there's more surface area for it to react with. But the bigger piece does give you a little more or easier identification of it. Same thing with G. I've got the smaller particulates that I'm going to mix the reactions with, and then larger pieces. Now, one of the first things you had to do, or students who came to class had to do, was test reactivities. Now, I do have a picture, a photo, that shows these substances before they were placed in it. In this first well here, you have substance A being put with a clear colorless acid called HCl, and then the second reaction is with copper chloride. Now, if it's metallic, it tends to react with acids, and it tends to react with copper solutions. So in well letter A there, you can see what has happened, and this has been after about 10 minutes. B, you can see that there are bubbles in there. In the bottom one, the solution originally was blue because copper solutions are blue. Now you can see after 10 minutes what has happened. C, D, and again, if you look at the solution there, okay, compared to what C is, you can kind of see what D is. Okay. E, again, E is a yellow substance with a blue solution. F, and G. Signs of chemical reactivity would obviously be bubbles, and also would be color changes as well. So look at the pre-pictures, and now you can see the post and be able to fill in the table with its reactivity. Is it reactive or is it not reactive? All right, the last couple things that need to be filled out as you watch this video then is if it's conductive or not. So I'll set up this camera right now. Okay, what I have here is a conductivity probe, and if it's conductive, the lights will go on, either the red or green or both. Okay, so I'm going to put a chunk of the material between the electrodes, and if the light pops on, then it will be conductive. Okay, so here is substance A. Okay, substance B. Substance C. Substance D. All right, slide this over. Okay. Substance E. Substance F. And substance E. All right, so that's the conductivity test that you can fill out for this laboratory. And then the last thing we're going to look at is if it's malleable. Malleability is if the substance is able to form into place. Okay? So what I've got now is I've got a small hammer, and I'm going to tap on each of these particles and to see if it's malleable. If it's malleable, it'll flatten or it'll bend. If it's not malleable, it will tend to crumble and shatter. Okay? So A. Okay? Substance B. Okay? Okay. As you can see there with my hands. Okay. All right. Substance C. Okay. Substance D. It too allows me to okay. Moving on. Substance E. Okay. F. So you can see there with F, it's much harder, but yet when I pound on an edge, you can see that it does bend. And then lastly, substance G. Same thing. When I pound on it on an edge, I'm able to change its shape. All right, so right there is all the data that you need for this experiment. So fill in the columns of this sheet, okay, based on all the results of the experiment that you watched the video. Answer the questions, and then based off of the properties of metals, nonmetals, metalloids, determine if A is a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid. I will give you a hint that of the 7 elements, A through G, only one of them is a metalloid. Okay? The other ones are metals or nonmetals. And again, C is not carbon. Okay? These are just random letters given to these 7 elements in the periodic table. Your job then is to take the information from the experiment and be able to classify them based on properties of metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. Once this sheet is filled out, take a picture of it at home and submit it to Canvas under this new laboratory of this module. Okay? Thanks for listening.